recorded to StreamYard. Hello, everyone. What's up? We are live due to some technical difficulties. Fuck Melon app. They can rot in hell forever. And let me just make sure we sound good on YouTube. What?
Hashtag forget Melon. Yeah.
All right. Hopefully, I'm not hearing. I mean, I can hear you just fine. Hopefully, people can hear us just fine.
I think they can.
Oh, wait. I think I know what the problem is. Major boomering. That is the problem.
Boomering time.
Dude, Boomer City, man. And I hate everything. Let me check something, because
yeah, no worries.
I think people will slowly let people come in and chill out, but there's the problem. That's what I was trying to do. Change that back to, and let me just see if this works. I just want to make sure.
Faux show.
Okay. Oh, wait, that's not the right settings. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my goodness. Everything is going wrong. How about now?
Oh, my gosh.
I think everyone... Oh, yes, we got it. All right. Oh. Whoop, I got a little loud. Let me adjust it, because I'm screaming into the mic out of sheer rage. We'll just drop the old mic sensitivity. But yes, welcome everyone to a new show that I am going to be trying to do here. It is called the Power Up Podcast, and the goal of the podcast is just to get guests on to just talk about like the good old days back in the day when we could be entertained for the sake of entertainment, to enjoy things that were written out of the story from the creator and not have all of this like stupid ideology like inserted in, being retcon and stuff, and mostly just build a community together to where, you know, just get away from all the chaos that's happening out in the world and just enjoy whatever entertained us. And with us today is a really good friend, Crumbreon. And Crumb, I just want to say thank you so much for putting up with all the garbage.
Not a problem. Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Well, sadly, we're not going to have cute little fancy video clips being inserted. I had a bunch of stuff ready to where I could just drop them videos and we can just laugh at that. But we'll definitely have you back on for round 2.
Perfect.
For sure. And from what I've heard, you have a birthday coming up. Is that right?
It's true. It's my birthday weekend right now.
Birthday weekend. Awesome.
Yeah, my birthday weekend. I just celebrate the whole time, as you know. It's a holiday up here in Canada, so I may as well just take it for my own too.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And let me go ahead and we will just start off here. So what are some stuff that you just enjoy when you just want to chillax and just sit around and stuff? I know you've been doing some Twitch streaming and you play wrestling games and have a very cool wrestling setup where you've created your own, what would that be? Not promo, like kind of like back in the day of WWF Attitude and like WCW and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you have that set up. Can you tell us what like motivated you to just want to do something like that too? Because I think it's really unique that you just let the AI duke it out and you are pretty much the announcer.
Well, I always look to do like interesting stuff for streams. It's like the one thing when you're a Twitch streamer that you have to figure out, and it's not super easy to figure out. But one thing you have to do is kind of figure out how to improve your stream and how to make the experience for your stream, right? So
yeah,
That's so. I when I saw that 2K22, like WWE 2K22 is coming out, I'm like, you know what? Like, that's a cool game. I'm like, I like the WWE series of the old games, but new games were kind of falling off. So I tried it a little bit, and I'm like, okay, well, like the main game is like kind of Snooze City. So it's kind of boring as all get out. But I tried the creation mode. I'm like, this is actually pretty cool, and so I decided to make my own little universe, my own little wrestling shows. I mean, made and decided to make people that sub to my Twitch channel part of that universe, so it gives them a little bit of a personalized experience too. And you can find yourself. Greg is a character in that universe as well.
Yes, I've been informing Eric our pathway to victory, and and by victory I mean I've lost every single match that I've participated in. But Eric actually won a tag team match, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did.
Dude, you made Eric so huge in that. Like, how tall is he?
I think he's pushing 7 feet. I think he's 6'7" in that game.
Pretty accurate too. That reminds me, way back in high school, that's actually where Eric and I met. We met in high school and connected, like through artwork and through our art classes and our love for anime as well. And we'll get into that a little bit too, because I'm assuming you're an anime fan as well.
I was like old school anime. I admittedly haven't really followed it in the past decade or so, but
no, that's perfectly fine. That's but to get back to that story, someone was like, "Wait, Eric, I know him. Like, can you describe him?" So I described him a little bit, and a friend back in the day, hey, the Ragnarok Knight. A friend back in the day, he drew what Eric looked like, and it was the perfect representation of who Eric is, because he drew him with like a head, his chest, and then these long ass legs. Because funny enough, that's like how Eric is kind of how he's built. Like he has really long legs and a very compact like torso
That's
area
hilarious.
And then like gigantic arms and stuff. So I just loved how you made him in the wrestling. The last wrestling game you said 2022, right, is the most recent wrestling game that's out. I think I downloaded 2019, like way back in the day.
Nice.
But for I didn't stick with it that long, because to be honest, to me, like, I love the classics. I love like
so
WCW, NWO Revenge.
Yes.
I loved No Mercy. Like, pretty much what was that? I'm sorry.
No Mercy was fantastic.
Yeah, what is it? WrestleMania 2. Any of the Nintendo 64 games were like amazing. I loved the character creations of that.
Oh, they were so fun.
Yeah,
they were so good.
What did you think made them so fun? Because I think they really took the time to capture like the move sets and how they made the moves look like how the wrestlers would perform them in real life. Because I can remember, like, if you did Kevin Nash's Jackknife Powerbomb, I remember the dramatic grab the guy's head, stick it between the legs, wait a little bit, like look around, lift him up, and then set him up higher, and then throw him down. Like, that sort of detail, I feel, never, like, it may be captured in like the newer games. I don't play them that much, but I just felt like the N64 games really captured the look and the feel of it.
Well, it was the fact that the N64 games were so fluid. Like, there wasn't many times when it was a whole bunch of janky nonsense. Like the SmackDown series and the SmackDown versus Raw series were so buggy, and they were so like disjointed, and it was really hard to pick up and play, because like the CPU, even in the lowest difficulty, would like always constantly counter. It was so easy to counter like literally everything. It was so unrealistic. It's funny to say about an N64 game being realistic, but it felt more It felt more like you were doing something in the N64 games, where it was just button mashing in the newer ones.
True, true. Yeah, I don't. I guess realistic probably wasn't the best of terms, but I thought it was. I mean, and that could just be the nostalgia glasses, which is perfectly fine. I mean, oh, that games were so good. We got Loki says, "Yay, it's working." I know, right? I was about ready to punch a hole in the wall multiple times because I was like, I tested everything. I did this right. Everything sounded, or I thought looked good, and then fail. And then Loki laughs. Ragnarok. Eric says, Eric looks like a giant Luke Brian.
So true.
So true. And then I tried getting WWE 2K18, says Ragnarok Knight. I can't get the creator mode to work. Keeps crashing. No Mercy is my jam. Still have it. WWE Here Comes the Pain was one of the best games made. I remember a lot of people said, yeah, a lot of people in the PlayStation 2 said Here Comes the Pain was
It's probably the most solid one.
Solid one. So did you play a lot of the let me adjust. I'm not centered. That really bothers me. Did you play a lot of like the wrestling games?
I did. Yeah, like I was like big into like the N64 games like No Mercy, WCW versus NWO, Revenge World Tour, WrestleMania 2000, all those games, played all of them. Played the SmackDown versus Raw series. Like the SmackDowns were pretty good. SmackDown versus Raw series was decent. I'd introduced like the GM, like the actual like pretty good GM modes.
Okay.
And then 2K took over and then kind of just drilled it into the ground. Unfortunately. And then, I mean, the 2K22 is better than the other ones, which is not a very, very high bar, but at least they're passable.
They're passable. Ragnarok says, Greg, love the Trigun poster. Thank you. Yeah, this is how awesome I have my setup to where you can just see my bed. So every time I stream, I have to make sure my bed is made. And then it's like slap some posters up there too. We have a Halo poster that's actually Eric's. He's like, we need to spice up your room. Here, let's put this. And you can't say it, but we have the Boondock Saints. I love that movie. And then Dragon Ball Z on the side. Stacy says, yay, stream. What was that?
Sigh.
Sigh. What?
Dragon Ball Z.
You leave Dragon Ball Z alone. It's a beautiful master. Actually, I hate Super. I think Super's hot garbage. I would take the Majin Buu arc over Super any day. But it's not as bad as GT.
It's true. GT was a hot mess.
Stacy says, yay, the stream is on. Yes, I know. I would have been very, very depressed and drink all of the alcohol I purchased for today if it did not work. But on that note, Crumb, I want to just give a toast to you. And I bought some Stadler Springs. I was getting some of this Jack and Coke pre-mixed cocktails. I really like these.
Those
I
are
like
good,
whiskey. Yeah, I really like these. And then I saw this at the cashier. She's like, "Have you tried some of this yet?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Well, she said, "Have you tried some, or do you want to try some?" But what she meant was, "Do you want to buy some?" And I was like, "Well, you know what? You've tricked me into wanting to get this alcohol, so I will get it for you." So I'm gonna. This is the first time I've had this, so I'm going to pour some in, and I really want to thank you, Crumb, for people who may not know. Eric Roland has been my best friend since high school, and it's Eric's story to tell, and he shared it on Crumb's stream and Nick's stream too. But it really infuriated me from the sidelines to know, and to see all the bullshit that happened with him, and I just want to say thank you, Crumb, for giving Eric a platform to talk about and to share his side of the story. I know who the people who pretty much did it. They're a bunch of backstabbing assholes, and I'm happy that people like you said something smells right. This isn't right. And this goes like beyond Eric, like with Vic, and for just seeing the fact of why are people getting canceled when they just have a difference of opinion, a belief system. And I think that's what the big problem that's happening in entertainment is that, again, people do not want to enjoy the craft. They want to make sure that whatever they're doing, there needs to be a message to it. That's not a part of the story that's written. And
Exactly.
I just want to say, cheers, Crumb. Thank you very much
Cheers.
for giving Eric a platform to share his voice. And I really appreciate that. And I'm glad that I was able to meet you and join on your Twitch streaming and just comment and laugh and all that stuff. So cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
This is the first time I've had this, by the way. So
I,
we'll see
I
how
hope
it
it's a
goes.
good one. I hope it's not. I hope it's not terrible.
Well,
A terrible thing to toast.
it says a meticulously blended Kentucky whiskey that's distinctively rich and smooth.
I guess it can't be that bad then.
Well, we'll find out. It's good. I mean, you're talking to the wrong person to be like, it has an oaky aftertaste to it. Like I can't describe alcohol.
At least it's not like, petrol. That's
No, it's definitely a mixture whiskey. I would say. Like I love Buffalo Trace. Like that's whiskey on the rocks because that's so smooth.
oh yes.
And we've got some comments here. Let's see. To me, the wrestling games are better when not to make them real like today. Yeah, and I do agree what you said, Crumb. It's that it's like you put enough unrealistic ideas into it to where you can possibly see it maybe existing in reality, but get hints to know that it's like pretty far-fetched. So
Yeah.
The Ragnarok Knight says, Boondock Saints, nah, get the OG Boondocks like Uncle Ruckus, lol. Boondock Saints and the Boondocks are two completely different genres. One comments on the African American culture and hip hop culture, and the other one is two Irish twins get a call from God to start murking all the mafia and the the bad dudes. Which who doesn't love that? Loki says, Cell Arc's my favorite arc. Cell Arc was good. I did like that. I would take GT over Super. Damn. That is a huge statement. Not even ashamed. I would fight both of you on that, says Ragnarok. Loki, only thing about GT that sucks, it was all Goku and Pan was annoying. I thought turning Goku back into the kid was stupid. I actually thought Goku and Oob fighting in the beginning was like an amazing lead. Because it begins right at the end of, well, I guess that's a different universe now with the Majin Buu ending because of different stuff. I like the concept of Super Saiyan 4. I like the concept of Super Android 17, even though it doesn't make sense that two 17s fusing together can beat a Super Saiyan 4. But it's just, there was a lot of good ideas, but they were just executed very poorly.
Well, who knows? With them going through different universes in Super, they might bring it back the
somehow
the
tie
GT
it in.
universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually still a fan of the Broly movie version than the Broly Super version.
Mm-hmm.
Like my favorite character of from the movies is Turles. Turles is my man because he was the OG Goku Black.
Yeah.
Loki says, then again, GT meant Grand Tour, so it was not going to be long, really. Ragnarok says, cheers to both of you. Fig says, good morning. Sorry I'm late. Dude, I'm late. Like half an hour, 45 minutes late than the proposed time that was set up. Stacy Dealman says, GT sucked, and I haven't seen Super, so I have no opinion on Super. I'm honestly going to say don't waste your time on it. Like, at least Z Goku was serious when he needed to be. Like, when Gohan turned Super Saiyan 2 for the very first time, He said, kill Cell now. We don't know what he's going to do if he gets desperate. Super Goku is like, you know what? I'll sacrifice existence just to get a good fight in. It's like, dude, are you fucking retarded? Like, why?
Yeah, kind of like went contra to what happened in Super, right? Because Super,
Hmm.
he had the chance to kill Frieza, the Golden Frieza again, and then he's just like, nah, and then Frieza just deletes everybody. And then
That
Whis
was,
had to like dial things back and be like, this is why you're an idiot. Stop it.
oh my gosh, he's so stupid. It's like they're like, we want to bring the humor back in Dragon Ball, and it's like, man, you're good luck. Good luck trying to bring that humor in, because I think that's a certain niche, that type of humor that Dragon Ball had that captured. Because Dragon Ball, like I've always looked at it, Dragon Ball was more of like the mystic magic behind everything.
Yeah,
And then Super was more about like, it's the action, it's more about the violence sort of thing, even though the formula is pretty much the same throughout the Dragon Ball universe. But to me, like with Super, it's like once you bring in gods, like you already had the Kais, then you had the Supreme Kais. Then if you want to talk about the Grand Kai, which is a filler, and now you're bringing in the God of Destruction. So it's like there's never,
exactly.
like, you don't even have to worry about anything, because in the end, Beerus would do something because he can be
Exactly.
influenced with food. So it's like, who cares what villain shows up? Because technically, Whis could kill everything. Like, make it
Yeah,
just cease to exist. Same with Zeno.
it's so true. They've like had such a power creep. It's so ridiculous. Like they'd have to make a villain that would supersede like the most powerful things ever created. And that's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, and maybe I know you said you haven't watched a lot of recent animes, but maybe like the animes that you've stuck to, have you noticed like the writing has changed a little bit?
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
I've noticed like the writings for today's type of, I guess you could say manga, because a lot of animes come from the manga. I feel a lot of these writers, they have this idea that is, I don't want to say unique, because I feel a lot of them are being influenced by the earlier animes, but they have this idea, they execute it, they want to put all these twists and turns into it, and then they just write themselves into the corner. Like I stopped watching Attack on Titan when I learned what the secret of the Titans are, because I thought it was just so stupid.
Well, that's one of those things. Like Attack on Titan, it was never going to be a good solution, right?
Hmm.
For what the big secret was. It's like one of those things. That's something that you leave until the end of the series. It's like you leave that there. You don't bring that like 3/4 of the way through, because then you don't have any big payoff anymore. But no, I agree. Like a lot of a big problem is,
Hmm.
especially for like the translations, is that you have the issue of the delay between new content coming out, and they have to fill in a whole bunch of content. It's what they did with like that's partially why Dragon Ball Z went off the rails like a number of times, and they had like a bunch of really ridiculous arcs, was because there's times where they just didn't have footage from the new Dragon Ball Z to bring over, so they just filled it with old footage and they Power Rangers it, right? Power
Yeah.
Rangers it, and they just made up a whole bunch of shit in between. I mean, that was the same thing with, I think, like One Piece did that. I think like a bunch of different animes did that. I think Naruto was really bad for that too, because the North American dubs of it were like super far behind, but they were waiting on the new seasons to come out in Japan. And like I haven't been watching subs, so I don't know what the stories are like from the original Japanese, or reading mangas from like the original stuff. But
Hmm.
no, that's a big problem too, is that they're taking it from the manga, and the mangas have been taking a lot of time off because of COVID and everything else like that. So it's kind of a hiatus right now for good anime. But finding like the translations from the Japanese and the localizations to North America are not quite the same impact. That's a problem. Because I mean, when you're talking about the stories, you gotta embody the story that the person is telling, not one that you're trying to make up yourself. right?
I couldn't imagine some fat heifers changing some lines or anything like that. Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness
gosh.
gracious. Well, you opened up a lot of stuff, just what you were talking about, and that's awesome. So I guess one of the big things I'm curious about, are you a sub or a dub person?
I traditionally like I'm usually doing stuff when I'm like have anime flipped on, so
Hmm.
dubs were usually better for me. But when I found out that there's like pieces of a story that don't make sense because when they get translated, they're just like, "Oh, this doesn't fit our,
Hmm.
American narrative, so we're going to change it to include bad Trump things." Like I'm like, okay, no, I want to. I'll suffer through watching the subtitles, and try to gauge it because like that was the best. Like watching like the old school like Gundam and like
Never
Gundam
got into
Seed,
Gundam.
all that stuff. Like that shit was so amazing to watch on the subtitles because you just see the raw stuff, and then when it gets brought over and dubbed, it's like you lose so much of that heart and soul. So I'm
Yeah,
much
I
more of a sub person.
okay. Yeah, I I know Eric has talked about it on both your show and Nick's show as well. There's absolutely no reason why, even though translating it so that it can fit the mouth flaps, there's no
Nobody cares
reason.
about that. Let's
Yeah,
be
but there
real.
no one really cares about it, but there's no reason why you can't correctly translate it or find something that can, for all intents and purposes, like fit that mouth flap and still get that message across. There's no reason. Like, you purposely have to go out of your way to put something in there to spin this stupid message. And the worst part is it's for a specific ideology. It's like not even neutral. Like
No, it's not
it's
even neutral.
it's so pathetic and fucking stupid is what it
Like
is.
that was the charm of like the OG like Speed Racer and stuff. They didn't try to match the mouth movements. They didn't try to do that nonsense. They just subbed it. Or they just dubbed it just straight up. Now it's used as an excuse, be like, oh well, we can't directly translate because we have to match the mouth movements. No, you don't. You're so
No.
full of shit.
Yeah. And I actually have this phone app called Duolingo, I think is what it's called, that I'm
Yep.
using, and I'm learning like Japanese and stuff like that. Mostly because something else that I'm always interested in too is like the ROM hacking community.
Oh
Is because
yes.
is
They're
because
crazy. Yeah.
I respect people so much who know how to go into the coding and take and develop a team that they'll be like, okay, we'll translate it and you code it and use the same font and stuff and translate games that never made it over to the US. I tip my hat to them, like, because
Absolutely.
there are so many good games that just never made it over the seas, and that's that's kind of because I love to stream, because I do game streaming as well, and I would love to play those games and at least to, if there's not a fan translation out there, to really at least be able to kind of read it, do it. But Hiragana is kicking my ass because I don't remember it a whole lot. Let's see. Let's see. Ragnarok says, I love Turles. Unfortunately, I love Team 4 Stars version who obsessed over Christmas. I'll be honest. I've seen some of Team 4 Star stuff, but never really got into it. I mean, props to them to create something that big, but I actually never really got into Team 4 Stars abridged series. GT and Super are both waste of time, but I'll take Super over GT, says Fig. Ooh, another. Oh, no, never mind. Someone else said GT over Super. Fig said Super over GT. It's like they make Goku even more stupider. That's an understatement. Akira Toriyama prefers writing humor into his writings. It really can't be helped. Well, I guess what my comment meant is that I don't know. I feel like that humor can only be appreciated by a certain maybe age group or something. I don't know, but like it it has a huge different impact when there's a kid who's ignorant of the world because he's just been raised isolated with his grandpa, and yet still trying to incorporate or trying to reincorporate that humor when he's an adult. And you're
Yeah,
just like, are you like, you learned nothing throughout your lifetime? Are you really that stupid?
exactly.
Once you bring in gods, there's nothing left to do. Exactly. That's exactly why I think Super is just ugh. Stacy says I never could get into Attack on Titan. Angron, welcome. Please, they can add or subtract mouth movements as needed. Team 4-Star and other channels that do abridged parodies do exactly that. Yeah, it's just all comes down to that money, and if people want to go out of their way to do that. One thing I won't watch, says Loki, is in sub is Yu-Gi-Oh. I did once. I got a headache from that. And then all of Team 4-Star is garbage. At least GT there's levels, not in Super. I go blue on 17, and he could not beat Saiyan 2. Oh my goodness. Oh, Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball, why? Why do you keep going? Like, honestly, that franchise. I think like movies wouldn't be bad to keep bringing it back, but to continue it, like, ugh, what else can you do?
Well, they kind of like went too far too fast. That's the problem.
Yep, and
Right.
then it's like the same thing. So, did you ever watch Rurouni Kenshin?
No, I never caught that one.
So, Rurouni Kenshin, I love the manga, and well, unfortunately, with the creator, had some problems with some kitty pictures, and I
Oh
mean,
no,
yeah,
that's becoming
KIDDIE,
a
and went to jail.
yikes. That's becoming a common thread nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't imagine a place that would support grooming of any kind. Um, especially of a voice acting variety type of area.
I don't.
But
I
I loved Kenshin. I thought they did a good job with the anime. They changed some stuff and obviously had to censor some stuff. But the one arc that never got animated is called the Jinshu Arc, and it's an arc to where pretty much Kenshin's past finally comes, and he has to face terms with it. And there's a person who's affected uh, deeply by the actions of Kenshin, and it never got animated except in the OVA Reflections.
oh,
But something that maybe if you ever wanted to check out, if there's any live action anime manga adaptation movie out there, I would highly recommend the Rurouni Kenshin live action movies. They are good enough to where a lot of it there's definitely that fantasy kung fu swordsmanship fighting action into it, but
well, that'd be nice.
it does fit well into, yeah, I can actually see this happening in possibly taking place in reality. And
Hmm.
what I like about it too is that they actually took the time to include moves that is done in the manga and the anime, but it's not like they're announcing their attack and then doing it sort of thing. You kind of got to like pay attention sort of thing, but it's actually really good.
That's awesome.
So I know you said you kind of fell out of keeping up with anime and stuff like that. Is there a specific reason why you fell out of keeping up with the anime side of
Um,
things?
Part of it is because like in Canada, we didn't really have many like much options to watch anime. Like we didn't have Cartoon Network, we didn't have like a bunch of stuff, and we only got streamlined a few anime shows on like Teletoon and where I live, like YTV, which they were far beyond anything you could follow. And they were like every once in a while, so it was like a very foreign thing. It was a really difficult thing unless you were going to conventions and stuff and picking up the fan dubs and everything else like that. We didn't have the accessibility to like the major anime series that folks in the States did, because we didn't have like the Nickelodeon, we didn't have Nick at Night, we didn't have Adult Swim. nothing like that. So not until recently, like a little while ago, but and I wasn't big on going to anime conventions because they were just so fucking expensive and so many people that went there. So I just I guess I just kind of moved away from it, got into other stuff, and then now finding out all the stuff that I'm finding out, I'm glad I didn't get too emotionally invested in the actors and the shows, because good lord, yikes.
No,
I mean, there's lots of good actors out there, but unfortunately there's far too many nasty people in that sphere of things. So I'm happy I didn't end up idolizing any of them.
Yeah, don't, especially with Twitter, don't
Oh my
follow your
goodness.
heroes, because that's the thing, is that these people, that persona they put on online is not, it's a hybrid. What they say and how extreme they get and how disgusting they are is true. But yet, if you take the time to hang out with these people, which I have, you will see on how two-faced they are, and it's ridiculous.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
and the thing is that they hate the field they're in. It's ridiculous. And it just comes down to them wanting to maintain that power. Because I think it was like around, I mean, I can't give a specific date, like maybe two, and I might be ignorant of the thing. You might know more than me, just because having to deal with cons and stuff. But I think, like, actually, like, caring about the voice actors and stuff like that didn't really, like, click till, like, later on, before anime was starting to really get accepted with the community and with, the entertainment side of things. And you have these people who were never recognized forever and ever and ever, and then finally they're starting to get recognized. But one, it's not like they're A-list celebrities, they're like D-list celebrities.
Yeah.
But yet they have this air about them to where it's like, I did all this stuff and blah 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 blah, so I should get this recognition. And they don't want to, they put on the facade of, like, yeah, encouraging, we're the people that always encourage to bring it in. No, you don't, because you're not going to give up that power to let other people in who, and I think this is part of why Eric was such a threat, is because he knew what he wanted to do. He went in there, he did and I will admit right now, I am biased, but I've seen Eric work really hard to rise up, to hone his craft, to go beyond and say, hey, I want to not only do this, I want to direct. I want to do this. And they saw him as a threat, kind of like how they saw Vic. Because to be honest, I think with the whole Vic situation, I think the sexual allegations, that was just what stuck. I think with Vic, it was, a white Caucasian Christian man who doesn't really accept the ideologies that these people project, and they saw him as a threat and had this idea of, like, he has so much power, when in reality it's people like him because he actually cares about what he's doing and the fans and whatnot.
Well, a lot of what it comes down to is these individuals, they can't figure out why successful people are successful. They can't get over that hurdle. They see their peers and they see all of the accolades that a Sabbath gets or a Schemmel gets, because they're powerful and they're popular. And you see this a lot with female voice actors as well. Whereas they're like, well, I'm playing the most popular character on a show, that means that I should be popular. But they don't realize that most people who watch anime have no freaking idea who voices the characters. They like the character. Like, I didn't know Vic until the scandal came out. I didn't know what characters he played until the scandal came out. Same thing with Quentin Flynn. Like, same thing with all these voice actors that I've been looking at now. I didn't know who the hell these people were. And like, when you talk about it crossing country, Canada didn't have the same voice acting cast for Dragon Ball that the US did. We had the Ocean dub. So we had a completely different Goku. We had a completely different Vegeta. We had a completely different cast. So like it's like, yeah, I'm Chris Sabat. I'm Piccolo and Vegeta. Like, okay, I don't care. You weren't my Piccolo. You weren't my Vegeta. Like this is the other thing that people can't wrap their heads around. It's like, well, I'm all powerful. I'm super popular. No, you're not. You're just a voice to a character. The character is popular. Like you can be the 7th iteration of that character. It doesn't mean that you're gonna like that. Doesn't mean that you're going to be popular, right? Do I know who the voice actor for the Spanish Vegeta is? No, I have no fucking idea who that is. Like these people get these egos and they don't understand why a Vic Mignogna is just so beloved, or why a Quentin Flynn is just so beloved, or why people love Eric Roland in his roles. They don't get it. It's not just about being a popular character. It's about being a good person. And even if you can fake being a good person, like let's just look at the worst case scenario, right? Let's just say, like, sure, Vic and Quentin and Eric are just terrible people, blah blah blah, but they can fake being good. That's good, it's good for them. But it's they don't understand that you can't just be a trash bag of a human being and be a popular character and then just reap the accolades of it. That doesn't translate.
Let's see if I can make this work.
Was hot and spicy.
There we go. I did it.
Perfect.
Let's see. How do I get rid of this? Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
I did it. Yeah, and that was what you were saying. And that's so funny too, because I don't know if that video still exists on YouTube, but there was someone who did the research of like the dubbing of Dragon Ball Z, and it's hilarious on how you had it was actually Pioneer and then Pioneer Sabbath that kind of I believe turned into Ocean Dub, and that's what I grew up with. Like exactly. I grew up with Ocean Dub all the way up to the Namekian saga. Funimation got the rights and were told mimic the Ocean Dub voice actors, and they did their best to mimic them. It goes all the way up to the Majin Buu arc, and then I think the Ocean Dubs finally gets the license for Dragon Ball Z to be, I think, shown in Canada, and then they're told to mimic the people who are mimicking them. Like it's like Sean thinks he's the best Goku. Like, no. Dude, you're an imitation of Peter Clemens.
Yep.
Like, and forgive me for the other one. Like, there's Kirby. The other person. And I was going into the voiceover field. You should know all the voice. I know you should. I should know all the voice actors.
You should know everybody.
I should know everyone, right? Oh my gosh! I only take the time to know people that I actually care about, and that's the thing, is that I know really good actors and actresses that I fear will never get their shot.
No,
for whatever reason, is because they do not want to let it go, and the disgusting thing is. Problem. And the disgusting thing is that these people project like their hatred and their racism and all this stuff onto other people. Because if you look at these people, especially what's going on now, to where, with the trying to unionize the actors down here, and with like Crunchyroll and stuff like that. I saw this coming a mile away. This is like this would be extreme gatekeeping. And if you are not a person of color, part of the LGBTQ community, a progressive Christian, or have the same ideologies, you're not getting in. Like,
and this is something I broke, right? Like, I mean, I've had people in the industry tell me. Multiple people tell me the same thing about how the CODA, the voice acting guild from Los Angeles, was trying to pitch the union to the Dallas voice actors, the Texas voice actors, and giving like, and it wasn't small VAs that were doing it, and it wasn't small VAs that were interested. It was all big name voice actors and people that would be the massive benefactors for this, trying to pitch to the little people and the people that would actually be like ultimately be damaged by it. Because like, you know, at the end of the day, dubbing studios aren't going to be paying literal who voice actor to do stuff. When they do that, they're going to go out and they're going to get big names for their money, right? So I understand both sides of it. It's like, yeah, you want voice actors to get paid, but you also want to have the option to be competitive, right? If you're a VA, you don't want to be forcing a company to pay you like 500 times over what they normally would because you're a union person. They're just going to go to someone who's non-union because they're not obligated to use union workers. So it's like it cuts down your ability to get a job. So I understand that. But on the other aspect of it now, Crunchyroll now has the former CEO of Funimation. He's now CEO of Crunchyroll. And now he's mandating in studio recording. And he has mandated vaccine policies in the recording studio. So further whittling down who's allowed to be in the studio. If you have a medical condition, then you're not allowed in the studio because you can't get vaccinated. And so because you can't get vaccinated, you can't record, you can't do your job. They've cut out remote recording for God knows whatever reason, because like ultimately they don't want the ADRs casting super famous people anymore, because they could do that. They could go to LA and they can get these really, really high profile voice actors, get them to remote voice record, not have to pay them top end dollar for it. Boom, there you go. But then all of a sudden, you know, a Monica Rial loses a role, right? Heaven forbid that. And so, so they made it so that everybody has to come in studio to record. So yeah, you can go ahead and you can book that LA voice actor. They have to travel all the way to Texas now to be in studio, and heaven forbid they're not vaccinated. But that's only for certain people though, right? Because I had a source tell me. This is directly from the individuals, by the way. This is not like, oh, a person told me. This person had a conversation with Monica and with Jamie and with a bunch of other people. Jamie Markey is getting an exception made for her for this in studio recording rule, by the way. So she's moving out of the city. So she won't be able to travel to Funimation's record. Or no, I'll just call it Funimation because Lord knows the only thing that changed was its skin.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, it's whatever.
So
whatever the fuck that studio is called.
Exactly. So she won't be able to travel to the studio to record anymore because she's not going to be close enough, because she has apparently some teaching job she has now. So she won't be able to make the travel. She's going to be working out of her home for this stuff. So the Funny CEO made an exception for the remote recording for her. Interesting how that goes, isn't it?
Well, like I posted in I think a response to your tweet, I'm glad that and I'm happy that she was able to move to a bigger pasture. Well, what's funny is that there are people like people like Monica and Jamie and stuff like that. They yell at the underneath people because if they're even associated, like Monica, I don't think Jamie, but Monica, Toye, Soye, whoever, whatever, I'm blocked from them because I'm simply associated with Eric.
Exactly.
And mostly because
that's
I think
to punish Eric, right?
Yeah, it's to punish him. But maybe my trolling might have to do a little bit of it. But your thing. I just learned something today. I learned that I can click this and it shows someone's comments. My gosh, technology is amazing. The Ragnarok says, I just realized Power Up Podcast. If you make it an acronym, it's the PUP, LOL. I know. That's why I planned it that way. Yeah, Eric and I call each other like Pup and the Gimp. and stuff like that. The GIMP, it's a long story, but working at like as an oil technician, like my friends and I, we would get really bored, and we were really into Kung Pao and Enter the Fist. And it's that scene where the Chosen One's like, wait, if you're all alive, then surely Wimp Low, Wimp. And then he like sees him and he's like dead and stuff like that. So we started inserting like all this random stuff. And we recently watched Pulp Fiction. And then my friend said, Gimp. And then it just stuck. And we're just laughing like a bunch of freaks. Because,
hilarious.
you know, in the end, it's one of those stories where honestly, I feel it's like those high school, like, oh, you had to be there sort of thing. So it's like, but you hear us call each other pup and gimp and all that stuff. That's where that came from. Let's see, but my goodness, we got a lot of chats here. Ragnarok says Samurai X was good too. Yeah,
Samurai X
they
was
took
pretty good.
that was pretty good. They took it a lot more serious, but obviously Kenshin cutting that dude in half and like all that blood's spurting everywhere. Maybe a little extreme, but who knows? I've seen what is it? What's that one show that where they're like they test the samurai katanas and swords and stuff, and they're like, oh, it can cut clean through and stuff. I seen that show. It's possible. Let's see. Stacy says only VA I idolize is Vic because Vic generally cares, and
You can tell like who does and who doesn't.
You can tell too, and I've seen these people like they have what's called the con face, where they will fake that they care that you're there, but you go behind the scenes and they're pissed. I actually, one of the people that kind of destroyed and spread rumors about Eric said something like, no one ever likes to work with you, with another person who was also part of spreading false rumors about Eric. It's hilarious. Like, it's a den of snakes. Like, these people are a bunch of assholes. Like, they're not happy. It's hilarious. And a lot of them don't even care about anime.
No, they don't. They just care about money, and they don't even they hate people to give it to them.
Captain?
It's so ridiculous.
Sorry. No worries. Let's see. The Ragnarok Knight says, yeah, I felt that firsthand. I was told by one I had such a deep respect for that I would never make it as a VA due to my political beliefs before blocking me. Not cool.
That's true, though. That is true, though.
It's true, and it's
like
sad and pathetic. Like I hate these worms.
Speaking to a number of VAs, that is a common thing. Like, they're so afraid to talk about literally anything because of they would just literally be blacklisted from the industry. And that's such a common thread. That's such a common thing. This is why I like open my DMs to these people. It's like, look, if you guys want to talk, if you want to expose it, like be that person, sit at the front of the freaking bus. Like, come on, just break the mold. Like, it's got to be blown open. Like, this is not an uncommon thing. And there are so many people being held down by so few people. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like, I think the most disgusting thing is and you can see this in their Twitter bio, is they have their SJW checklist in their bio. I am person of color. I am this. I am BLM supporting this, and this sort of thing. And like with Eric, like one of these people specifically like told him, and I know who you are, by the way, and I was there. I heard like he got yelled at because he didn't participate in the online thread of Twitter. This is how pathetic these people are. That even the whole retarded, silence is violence sort of thing. Like, you cannot, like, they will never be satisfied. And that's kind of and that's unfortunately what happened with Vic. And I think he's been told, but I kind of feel like he needs to be reminded again, is do not apologize to anybody. If you need to apologize to the person who you may think you've wronged in private. These people have no business being there because they're going to tell you that, no, that's not good enough and stuff like that. Like, they will determine if it was acceptable enough. Like,
which is ridiculous.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous that the crowd gets to determine what the individual...
the cuck in the room. You know, there's 10 out of 10 people, 9 people say, hey, we like what you're doing. Well, I don't. Well, go fucking serve the tray. Go away. Like, you're not wanted.
I will say to literally everyone out there that may or may not be listening or could be listening in the future or could have these clips sent to them. What I will say
if before that, if you do want to hear this, you should subscribe to Crumbs. Oh, wait, I'm pointing over this way. I guess over that way. You should follow Crumb on Twitter and on Twitch and all my shit. It's in the description. Absolutely. You like how I promoted you, but not myself because I'm pathetic. I love my guests.
You should have liked and subscribed to the stream too. This stream here.
That was a very, very poor plug-in on my part because I'm sure you had something great to say, and I was like, "Speaking of that,
no worries.
Yeah.
I'll still
go ahead and
so what I will say to folks is this: look, in the voice acting industry, I understand that y'all think that this is a master craft, that this is your one and only shot at having a career, etc. We're not talking about astrophysics. We're not talking about, we're not talking about some trained, massive super skill that you're never going to be able to use like anywhere else. If you're a good voice actor, you'd be really good in customer service. You'd be really good in over the phone. You'd be really good in sales. That's a transferable skill. It's something that you can literally it would be great in corporate. Like you could take it to a corporate position. You could literally take your skills any fucking where outside of voice acting and be successful if you apply that to insert whatever career you choose to do. So if you think that by compromising your morals, compromising yourself, compromising everything that makes you, just so you can possibly maybe have a chance to fit in 1 or 2 times in a group of fucking vultures that don't like you and that will stab you in the back at the slightest second that you're an inconvenience to them. What is stopping you from exposing this nonsense? Just fucking come out and talk about it. Just expose it. If it blacklists you from the industry, they're doing you a fucking favor. This isn't Hollywood. You're not going to be making billions of dollars or being cast into fucking multi-billion-dollar movies. They are doing this. The people that have that you should be calling out and that you should be exposing, these people will not let you in. They won't ever let you in. That's the point. Mm-hmm. That's the entire point.
Yeah, it's definitely that fear of facing backlash and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where if you don't get it out, you might have
emotional, damn it.
You might have that.
Exactly.
I'm so happy I was dude, I like fucking spent like all this time editing like video clips and stuff like that to like randomly pop in and stuff like that. And I was so pissed when fuck Melon, by the way, when that didn't work. It said it was the StreamYard's alternative. I did research on it. Everything was fine. And then it hated me forever. But yeah, but in all seriousness, like Crumb, you're absolutely right.
Like the world will not end if you can't be a voice actor for a year or two. Like it won't. And right? Look at Linda Young, for God's sake. Like look at how I'm not talking about you don't have to be 19 years old and to break into the fucking industry. Like look at oh fuck, I'm blanking on his name. But the guy who does like Solid Snake and shit like that.
David Hayter.
David Hayter and stuff. Like they're not fucking young people. Like they're not young. All you have to be is unique, creative, get a good break. Like you can go and make your fucking money and come back and do your own thing and demand your own wage. Like, you don't have to slave away and all this shit. Like, that's you're it's so frustrating to see that people are wasting like the golden years of their lives trying to cater to these lunatics.
All right, we have a lot. There's been a lot of comments and stuff like that, and obviously, I like to try to get to everybody that I can. But there's particularly from the Ragnarok Knight, which even says, "Yeah, I know I post a lot of stuff. You can always skip mine. I know I write a lot." But Angron the Red Angel says, supposedly Eric, Vic, and Todd weren't the only ones suggested for Me Too Railroad. Well, Eric wasn't really a part of Me Too. He was like the whole, when Kyle Rittenhouse thing was happening, he supported, the Back the Blue, which was pretty much was like, hey, there are bad cops out there. We shouldn't be hating on everybody because, we kind of need them because, there's people out there that think the government should defend themselves, but yet they also don't want you to use your Second Amendment rights. But that's a rabbit hole going down there. Allegedly, there's a list called Broken Stairs or something. Never been able to find it, though. There is a blacklist. I do know for a fact there is a blacklist, and it does exist, at least from a specific director. I know that, but I will not be surprised that there is a blacklist. I know it's out there.
I've heard the same from a number of people.
Yep, I have too. It's out there, and it gets passed around to where it's like, well, just worked with this person, and never working with him again. And of course, it's the whole like, these people hate each other, but as long as you cast me in your show, I'll cast you in mine. Like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch mine, sort of deal. Thig Newton says, in my studio, I don't want big names. I just want good voice acting. Well, that's, there's going to be politics everywhere. But again, I think this is where, because these people have made it to such an extreme position, like, at least for me, sometimes it feels like you got to be extreme back, sort of thing, because it's like, because the thing to understand is these people will never be satisfied. They will always find a way where they are in the right, that they are morally superior in whatever shape, way, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I even responded to a tweet long ago that you mentioned, Crumb, where I like to think of the 2 T's. Tell the truth, because that's what pisses them off the most, with a tad bit of trolling. And you do all this from the sidelines. And They hate that. They hate it. Because at the end of the day, you just laugh at them.
Exactly.
Because it's just like, you guys are putting so much, like, you're putting your literal soul into this, into trying to be right. And it's just like, the world has proven that we can come together with different ideologies or different beliefs and stuff. But that's why I wanted to make this podcast, is because I just want to come together with a bunch of people, regardless of what your beliefs are. Like, I'm a Judeo-Christian believer. I follow the scripture. I would probably say I'm a little bit more extreme on that stuff, because certain stuff like swearing, I'm kind of like, I'm bad. I know I should control my swearing. But, I also do my research in the scripture, and, a lot of the, like, even in the Bible, like, there was some swearing. You may not know it, but like, Elijah said, "What's your God doing?" To the worshipers of Baal. Like, is he like on the toilet? He pretty much says. It's so good. I love it. But I don't care if you're a non-believer or you're a Buddhist or you're whatever and stuff. Like, I would love to see it to where it's like, and it honestly does come down to it, to where, like, say, I guess we'll just say, for the sake of the argument, for voice acting, if you come into the studio, regardless of people with different beliefs and stuff, but you come together going, okay, I got a job that I'm here to do. I'm going to bang it out. I'm going to do the best performance I can be. And if there's some chit chatting, that's fine. But once that's done, I did my thing. I'm gone. I don't see, like, it's crazy on how that just cannot be. It's that simple, but yet these people don't want it to be simple, because again, it's a power grabbing. sort of
Well,
thing.
it makes you wonder on how many executives now in Crunchyroll are getting some sort of kickback or benefit from having these voice actors. Like we're not talking about like William Shatner and fucking Mark Hamill, right? Like we're not talking about these voice actors that caliber of voice acting, that like we're not talking about that. We're talking about like literal people who aren't known outside of these characters.
I
Like
am.
you could say the character name and most of the public won't even know who the fuck you're talking about. Like this is like if people think that Vegeta is a household name, you say Vegeta, people are going to talk and be like, "Oh, do you mean the seasoning brand?" Like
Whenever I stream the Dragon Ball Z games, I always call them fajita a lot of time. Like we're gonna be fajita. Ragnarok says, I mean, James Rolfe made a joke on searching how many times does the word ass is used in the Bible, and it's quite a lot actually. Well, I mean, kind of a sidetrack here. Like if you kind of want to know some interesting facts, like a lot of the times when the Bible mentions cursing, it actually means placing a curse on someone because it's that serious about it. Because the God says, don't fuck with necromancy. Like, don't fuck with trying to summon the dead. And, King Solomon did that. And then he was like, oh, yeah, you're going to die because you specifically did this. And he dies, sort of thing. Eric's really good at that stuff. I know the gist of this. I'm really bad at, like, quoting the scripture and stuff like that. But it's just, like, if you... Again, it's that sort of thing where it's like, if you're interested in that stuff, that's fine, and like do your research and stuff. But these people, like, it's like, no, you cannot do it. And that's why I said a while back that progressive Christian attitude. And what I mean by that is there's this wave going on of progressive Christianity, because there are people who are Christians that are still part of Crunchyroll and stuff, but they are what I call the progressive Christians. And that means that it goes against what Jesus is teaching in, which in a nutshell is be sin conscious. Understand that if you're following this belief, God says, avoid doing these sins that I say is sinful for what I created the world to be.
Right.
These people ignore that completely and just say, well, as long as you feel good in the end, that's all that matters. That's all that stuff. And then that allows them to get away from not being confronted with the whole, you're a Christian, that means you're against gay people and all that stuff. It's like, I mean, first of all, you're ignorant of that, because that's not the Bible doesn't say that at all. Like, we're supposed to unconditionally love everyone. It's called agape love. It means that godly love, that no matter who you are as a person, I unconditionally love you and I want the best for you. However, and it's God would say, I want you to represent me and to shine through. And if people want to know about me, you're a beacon to be able to share my message. That doesn't mean you force it on them. And if they're not interested, you did your part. Like, you can leave. Having unconditional love for people does not mean that you agree with every action that they take.
Exactly.
But again,
it's true. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Crumb, this is insane. And I'm super happy that we're able to get clips in here. It's not as fancy as what I wanted, but we'll work on that. And again, Crumb, thank you so much for coming on, even though with all the stuff. I'm getting sentimental again because I was so happy to do this. And then it didn't work. And then I was going to throw my computer out of the window. You think the VAs aspire to be like the VAs in Western animations, like Dan Castellaneta, Seth MacFarlane, Seth Green? They're quite prominent. But to be honest, I don't know. The thing with the voice acting community is... obviously stuff with like The Simpsons and stuff, that's really big and stuff. So I don't know. And they're probably union, so they probably get a good chunk of change for doing that because they're such an icon now. Anime, that's a niche.
Exactly.
That's a niche. And these people think that This leads down to a theory that I'm starting to think that has actually come true. Is that these people have transformed it into where when you think of anime, that means that you need to be pro LGBTQ, you need to, you know, be this, be that, and all that stuff. But they've hijacked it and they infested it to where it's like, well, this is what it was all along. And it's like, no, that's not what it was all along. If anything, like you were socially awkward, like, the otaku, that means you were like socially awkward. You were shut in. You were this, you were that. But then you've had these people hijack it and say, well, this is what it was all along, sort of thing. And it's like, no, because anime was for everybody. It was for that. If you couldn't relate to people, it was for them. If you just enjoyed it for the action, it was for them.
Exactly.
If you're LGBTQ, it was for them. But they've taken it and specifically said, no, it was for this. I actually want to do a research of like the history of like anime and manga and stuff, because all this crap that they're spewing out, I guarantee you, is not right.
No, it's not at all. And the funny part is you bring up a very good point, was that we as a whole have made a mistake in giving complete autonomy and power to the individuals that have absolutely no grasp of social skills. Like they don't understand. You laugh, but we're there. We have given power and we've given a voice and we've given creative control to people who have literally no idea what the basic human to human interaction is. Like absolutely zero social empathy, zero social ability, nothing. They don't.
Very rude. Very rude, Fig Newton.
But they can't pick up on social cues. They can't pick up on sarcasm. They can't pick up on anything. And they drag society down to be at the level that they are. They operate as like, this mindless drone. And they want everyone else to operate as mindless drones because people who have social skills intimidate and scare them.
I think, and I definitely agree 100%, Crumb. And I think also I think it's a hybrid too, because I think there's people who do know that and they're two-faced and behind the scenes. Like one of the actors that I know, we were at a party and he put on some rap that had a lot of stuff that would probably get him canceled, takes a picture, and I made a joke about it, and they go, oh, this will never see social media. and it's just like you're two-faced, because these people know. There are people in there who genuinely know that they need to act like this in the social spotlight, but when the cameras are off and stuff, that's why they're terrified whenever their skeletons get revealed. That's why they're absolutely terrified, which is funny because it's like, you do realize that if you just owned up to your skeletons and, and I mean, for me, it would be getting more spiritual and say, confess your sins and to, it's hard. It's definitely hard. I had a porn addiction for a long, long time, and I still have like relapses and stuff. It's hard to turn away from that stuff, but as long as you acknowledge it and take the steps to try to fix it, like there's no power over it. But then again, of course, these people will use that to dangle it over your head and to beat you into submission.
No, the problem is you have individuals like that who are the actual predators of the situation. They're preying on people that don't have this ability to understand social cues, who don't have the proper tools to navigate and everything else, that can be manipulated extremely easily, wound up and sent after people. You see it all the time. It happens constantly on Twitter, but you see it literally all the time. And then you have the emotional manipulation that goes on. It's like, oh, if you believe this, then you're not a fan of me. Like, what the hell does that have to do with anything?
I love that one. I love that. That is so hilarious. It's like you do not get to dictate who the fans are.
No.
Because again, you're bringing it to about yourself. If they were just a fan of the craft, then they're a fan of the craft. But like
Exactly.
that the thing, and that's the thing too. See, that's why they wanted to unionize it. Not for me. This is what I believe. Like not only so that they could gatekeep it closer to where pretty much the people who are already established will never leave, sort of thing. But it's you guys are expendable. And
They're 100% expendable. Yeah.
And the thing that scares them the most, and that's kind of why it's weird that, well, a couple things too, because I heard through some rumors as well, is that like all the voiceover classes that you see posted and stuff like that,
Yeah.
they're being told not to bring people from those classes to like into studios and stuff because they're afraid of it becoming like a pay to play sort of thing.
I can see it. I can see it.
But that's where a lot of like new talent comes from.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily mind that sort of thing, but it's like, I mean, again, it's like all this
I'm
weird
honestly surprised that people that are under contract with Crunchyroll and Funimation aren't being told to not do that. I'm surprised they're not being told to like stop going out and making money by doing XYZ thing, like you're blah blah blah. Because like by extension, if someone's actively under contract for Crunchyroll and they're doing voice acting classes, then by extension, Crunchyroll is giving voice acting classes, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it'd be interesting. It'd be an interesting little wrinkle.
Yeah, I took a prominent voiceover class, a certain devil, hint hint, sort of thing. And I sold. I mean, I never played Magic the Gathering as much anymore, and I sold all my Magic cards just to pay for that class. And it's one of those things where it was good to get exposure and stuff like that. But I know people who convince themselves like I just need to retake this class, and it's almost like a refresher to them to be like, well, hopefully they'll remember me this time and then I can get brought in, sort of thing. But Ragnarok Knight says Crumb makes a good point. It's because so bad that holding hands is being treated as overly sexual, and we normal folks made the lunacy. I mean, dude, I would hug the shit out of some kid if I could. And I'm being facetious, of course, but yeah, like this is insanity because these people done the exact same thing, but it's okay for them to do it, but it's not okay for a certain other person to do it. But
like I'll say for anything, right?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, like when people talk about like, well, how do you get into streaming? How do you get big into streaming? Just go and have fun with it. Just go and enjoy it, have fun, do your own thing. When it comes into voice acting, if you want to make it a career, just go and do fun things. Just have fun with it. Do something else with your life. Be successful independently, and then do that as a hobby until you can make it a career if you want to. Don't force yourself. This is like when I went to school for art. Like I wanted to be a graphic artist.
Oh, graphic, nice.
I wanted to be a graphic artist for like a living. I wanted that to be my job. And I got there and I realized I don't want to make this my job. I don't want to force myself to create art. I don't want to.
It's really hard.
Make it so that it's like it's a chore to do because I enjoy doing it. It's something I enjoy doing. It's something I love. It's a passion. Like I don't want to go in and have that be my job, that I have to create something in order to pay my bills. That's what I'll say about voice acting. That's what I'll say about streaming. And so I'll say about all this stuff. Don't take the passion out of it just so that you can monetize it. You can monetize it, go for it, but don't make it so that you have to do it. Right? It's a nice thing if it happens. Like I've done, I went on to Casting Call Club, and I applied for like a few fan projects and stuff like that. And I actually got cast as the voice of Foxy in like this fan production. I don't even know if it made it or did anything, but I got cast as Foxy, and that was like that was a pretty good feeling. And like that's cool and all. Like I don't expect that I'm going to be the next voice actor, right? I'm not going to be the next biggest voice actor. I can do lots of different stuff. I'm pretty versatile in terms of skills, But it's like, all right, well, that's a cool thing to do. I'll probably do that sometimes. I'll go out and do other stuff too, but I'm not going to make a career out of doing that. I'm not going to pursue that because it's all of these people who are voice actors, like the Chris Sabbats. That's all they are. You take that away from them, they can't do anything else. They can't. They can't go to a Walmart and be a cashier. They can't go to a Starbucks and serve coffees, right? They can't do that because that's all they know. That's all they are. You take voice acting away from Monica Rial, what do you think she's going to do? she's not going to do anything. She's just going to sit back on. Like, she doesn't want to do anything else. She's going to sit back and sign autographs, right?
Oh yeah.
If you take voice acting away from Vic Mignogna, what do you have? Well, he's gone out and he's acting in fucking movies now. He's doing this, he's doing that. Like this is the thing that these people don't understand is that they're a one-trick fucking pony, and they're expendable, and and they have to force companies, and they have to force industries, and they have to force fans into interacting with them and only them because they have nothing else.
Yeah. And I think from what you said, and I'm awesome to know what you went to school for, because I went for like 2D animation and 3D animation.
Nice.
And stuff like that. But yeah, it became that thing where it's like it's really hard to force yourself to do that, especially if it's like from scratch. Some people have a natural gift to do it, but it's for me, it's truly asking yourself, is this something I want to do that will, even with the hard times, with the crappy times, the ups and the downs, at the end of the day, will this fulfill my soul? You truly got to ask yourself that. And if it doesn't, what can you do next?
Exactly.
Sort of thing. And that's something that I've, to this day, still struggle with. I think I found what I like to do. Like, I like doing this. I like doing gaming and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, what can I bring new that people may not have done before, or, work hard and try and take the appropriate steps? Because everyone's journey is different. And I think that's where people get stuck on is, oh, well, this person's doing that. This person's doing that. Well, you can learn from them, but like, don't focus on their journey, because their journey is theirs and theirs alone.
Exactly.
There may be like certain steps that people can take that can kind of lead to a result, but at the end of the day, your journey is your journey, sort of thing.
Well, and it's important to remember, just because it doesn't work right now doesn't mean it won't ever work again, right? You can put it on the shelf and come back to it later, and you might be in a better spot for it later. You might have more time later, or what have you. It doesn't end there, right? And voice acting is one of those unique things that you can do at literally any age. And like, there's certain things like that fall off after a while. So like, you can't wood carve forever, right? Your skills are eventually going to fade. You can't play sports forever. Your skills are going to fade. You're going to get injuries, what have you. But there are certain things like voice acting. It's like you're probably going to voice act for as long as you possibly can. That's not a problem, right? But it's one of those things. Like, you just have to look at what you want to do with your life and just do what makes you happy. Don't do what you have to, like what you're forced to do, because that's all you can do.
Yes. And for me, it's on the more spiritual side of stuff too. Like, do what you think God's called you to do, sort of thing. Like, what He's called you to do, and also makes you happy.
Exactly.
I agree, 100%. Crumb. Fig says, Greg, who the hell did you voice as anyway? My journey into the voice over field pretty much halted once I saw all the shit that Eric went through. I was personally struggling with a lot of stuff, with being unhappy at the place I used to work, to where it's like I'm trying to do all this stuff. I'm trying to hone my craft in the acting field, but also doing the content creation field. And it just felt like nothing was clicking at all and whatnot. So I never got called into the studio. I've taken classes. I've hung out with voice actors. And, it came to the point where it's like, I think I need to step back from this. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I think it was God saying, like, you don't want to step into there because I think um, you just who you are as a person, you might be crushed from under the weight and stuff. Because I do have anxiety, I do have depression, ADHD, and stuff like that. And to me, I felt like God was protecting me and saying, like, don't learn from what you're seeing, but like, I don't think it's your time to go in there because I still would love to do it, and I still think there's alternatives to I guess rip out and burn the weeds that have infested uh, the stuff too. And I guess that was something I wanted to talk with you a little bit about, Chrome, as well. It's just like the alternatives of like what one could do to kind of combat this sort of thing. Well, before we get into there is something else that I did wanted to mention as well. Is I know you're a big Pokemon person and whatnot.
Yes.
And what got you into Pokemon? I'm kind of curious because I remember playing the video games and getting into Pokemon via that route, but I also collected the cards way back in the day. But I was so young, it was just my friends and I were like, I got this card, I got this card. Well, like we never knew how to play the rules and stuff like that, sort of thing. But what got you into that whole experience of
Yeah,
of
like I loved
ingesting the Pokemon?
I loved Pokemon. Like I loved the games, played the originals. They ate up a lot of my time, a lot of my batteries. It was probably the anime that did it for me, honestly. Like
Really?
the anime, the
Really?
watching the
That's
first
awesome.
movie, like the first and second movies were just so like
Did you see it in theater?
captivating. I saw it in theater, yeah.
Oh, I did too. What was
It
that?
was
Is that the
so
Mewtwo
unique.
one?
The Mewtwo
Or is
one was
that
the first one, and Lugia was the second one.
okay? I don't think I saw the second one. I remember watching the first one. I remember little bits of it, but I remember seeing it in
That was
theaters.
crazy.
That's so awesome.
Like
And
and from there, getting to the Pokemon trading card game was really big. I was a Pokemon professor for a number of years.
I was actually going to get to that. That's awesome. What does one have to do to be considered a Pokemon professor?
So in the Pokemon trading card game, they have a professor program. So
Okay.
they had leagues and stuff that you could play. It's much simpler back in the day. It's much more complicated now, but you basically would apply for the professor program, and they'd give you like this ridiculous test, and you have to have this like ridiculously good game knowledge about all this stuff, and you have to score like a 97% on this massive test
Oh
to be considered for the Pokemon professor program. And once you're in it, then you have to like take a test like every 3 to 6 months or something like that, and to keep it up and everything else like that. But then once you have your professorship, then you were qualified to judge tournaments, stuff like that. You could do all that fun stuff. So I had that for a couple years and I let it lapse and I never got back to it. But no, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun back in the day when you had leagues. They would officially sanctioned leagues. They would send you things like promos, like Pokemon, like the Pokemon company would send you like promo cards to give out for winners. They'd give you like little badges that were pins so that people could like play a certain amount every week, and they would earn the badges and have
Wow.
battles and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. It was
Do
a
you
lot of
still
fun.
have your physical cards?
I still have some physical cards. Yeah.
Nice. Cause I got into the Dragon Ball Z, and I still
Oh
have all my
yes, the
my
Dragon
cards and
Ball Z
stuff. I
cards.
still try to collect them when I had. I love. This was my high school you're looking at right here. Um.
I remember
Wow,
that. I remember that too.
dude, I loved Dragon Ball Z. It's oh, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted, Crumb, to reminisce about the good old days when
Good old
you didn't
days.
care about anything, where stuff that was serious wasn't serious at all.
Seriously.
um, who is your favorite Pokemon? If you can,
Umbreon, obviously. Fun
Crumbreon
fact. Umbreon
or
wasn't
Umbreon.
always my favorite. Umbreon never existed in Gen 1. So funny enough, my first favorite Pokemon until much later was actually Vulpix. Vulpix was my favorite. Shockingly, it wasn't Eevee. Eevee was kind of boring in Gen 1 for me, even though Eevee was like super powerful. I loved Vulpix. Vulpix was just like my favorite Pokemon for years, and then Gold and Silver came out, and I eventually got around to playing Gold and Silver, and then Umbreon was just awesome, and I loved Umbreon ever since.
Now, I'm pretty bad with like, because I'm trying to catch up with the Pokemon games. Like, I think I played. Oh, do I still need to play? What is it? Black and White 2? I think I've recently beat Black and White, so I'm pretty bad.
Black and White was actually really good.
Is Umbreon the dark type one?
Umbreon is the dark type of the evolutions.
Of the evolutions. Okay. This just goes to show on how bad I am. Like, oh my goodness. I need like a picture of like the weaknesses and like, excels in like slapped up on my wall, because I am so like, I can understand kind of like the basic ones, but then I'm just like, the fuck do I use with the fairy type? Is that against, what is that, dragons?
Yeah, fairies effective against dragons and dark.
Charizard is the best Pokemon, says Fig Newton. Hitmonchan is my favorite to this day. Chan the man with the master plan. I think my favorite would have to be, I do like Gengar. I like the ghost
Gengar's
Pokemon.
pretty good. Gengar's pretty solid.
I also like Alakazam, like the Abracadabra and Alakazam.
Alakazam's always a solid choice.
Yeah,
Alakazam's always a solid
pretty.
choice.
Dragonite's pretty cool. Like, I don't know any of the newer ones. Like, I'm so out of the loop. Ugh, I'm bad. I'm a bad Pokemon trainer. I think the best example is Leslie Nielsen. This is going back to acting. He was an actor who went underappreciated until the 80s, and he was a genius in his craft. I believe the same was with Dustin Hoffman. He didn't really take off till way later, if I'm not mistaken.
There's so many actors that were not big megastars until much, much later in their careers.
Yep.
And people put it so much stock in getting in young.
Stacy says
Sylveon
is my favorite. Dude, I cannot say it. I cannot say Pokemon names. I'm awesome. I'm awesomely bad at it. Greg, did you know that Spider-Man came out 20? Oh my. Like the live action Spider-Man? Last Pokemon game I played was Ultra Sun and Moon. Not bad.
The newest Pokemon Arceus, folks, if you have not played Pokemon Legends Arceus, go play it. It's literally such a refreshing, amazing take on Pokemon.
That's to me. That's a recommendation to me. I need to play that game.
It is.
I also need to play the
Pokemon game.
I also need to play the new Pokemon Snap too. I liked Pokemon Snap.
Pokemon Snap was fun.
I am opening up another Jack and Coke because it's delicious.
Do it up.
Let's go back to wrestling.
Sounds good to me.
Go back to where
it all began.
Where it all began, and where you could flip people off and just go crazy to where it's not like it is now with WWE, where there's kids around, even though there's plenty of violence happening.
I remembered the first game where they censored Stone Cold's middle fingers, and my heart sank when I saw that, because I knew it was over. I knew that was the end.
What was your favorite era? Like,
I love the Attitude Era. It was great. You can't go wrong with that.
So for WWF, I loved the Attitude Era. I watched WCW.
Oh, I watched WCW through the Attitude Era. I love WCW. That was great.
Who's your favorite wrestler from the WCW?
Oh, in WCW, there's so many good ones. I loved Chris Jericho through that. Booker T, though, was probably my favorite because he was just so ridiculous.
I met Booker T once at a convention.
Oh, yeah?
Really cool. Yeah, really nice
really
dude.
down-to-earth guy.
Yeah, he's really, really nice. He held Eric's Halo assault rifle, I believe, or it was a pistol. Okay, I have a picture of it. I don't remember what it is. He was really chill. I loved Goldust and the Booker T tag
Oh
team.
yes.
Those
Yeah.
were the greatest. I loved it.
I think like one of my favorite promos was when he accidentally let the N-word flip on live television. To
Hey,
this day.
I'm all for. I love gamer words. I just think they're funny. They're so hilarious because people give them power, and it's just like, dude, just laugh at it. It's so stupid. Like you can, so funny. But that only happened because of the Benoit tragedy. No, Benoit, why? His family. Yeah, that's quite sad because I think.
Well, yeah, they cut out the angle. They were going to have like Vince McMahon, quote unquote, die, and then that was the night that they were going to release it, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, no, I guess we have to come out and be like, yeah, no, sorry,
Dude,
everybody."
I didn't know that. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Dude, that's so for the people at home, I can laugh at anything. So please understand that I can be sympathetic when I want to. No. But yeah, didn't they scan his brain and like he had like the
He had
mental
so
capacity.
many concussions.
Yeah, he had like the mental capacity of like a 12-year-old or something. That is truly sad.
And that's why they banned the flying headbutt. Because it's literally why, because he was slamming his head into people for like 15 years.
Yeah, and he didn't do anything to like protect him. Like, cause you know how, I guess for an example, like Macho Man, like with the elbow, like I feel like he could have at least controlled, but with like just your head, like that's why they also banned headshots from chairs, if I'm not mistaken. It's like all on the back now. Like that's gone.
They stopped the unprotected headshots from the chairs. The pile drivers, tombstones, all that stuff. Like they only allowed certain wrestlers to use tombstones.
99 was 32 years ago. Fig, you're going to get kicked out if you keep bringing up years because it's just making me sad. Greg, did you know that Star Wars Attack of the Clones... Fig, no, stop. Why are you doing this to me? Scott Steiner was my favorite WCW star. Bill Goldberg was not. I liked Goldberg. I'm guilty. My favorite is Sting. I loved Sting.
Sting was great.
Sting was awesome with that baseball bat and the not talking forever sort of thing. Dark humor is the best humor. Greg, my humor is far darker than yours. Please understand, chat, that the amount of constraints I am holding back from not just having dark humor fly everywhere is indescribable. It hurts me down deep in my soul. But yeah, like I think if memory serves me correct, I think like the only time way back in the day when my folks were like, okay, we'll call in to the cable company and you guys can watch one pay-per-view of wrestling, and it was when Hulk Hogan betrayed WCW and turned to NWO. That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Oh my goodness.
Like, and I completely, funny enough, Crumb, I went down a rabbit hole where I watched a video of the times where the wrestlers had to beat up fans that walked into the ring.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. I completely forgot, like, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash just clocked this one drunk dude and just kick him and like pushed him out.
Oh, so good.
The Ragnarok says, no, that was banned because The Rock smashed Mick Foley 8 times straight to the point where Mick yelled at The Rock backstage after the match. Like, chair headshots? Ragnarok? Not exactly sure. I'm assuming that's what we were talking about. Stacy says, Greg, release that dark humor. LOL. I don't think the internet would be ready, to be honest. Greg's humor is being an XBL lobby chat. You shut the fuck up right now. You be quiet. You be quiet immediately. Oh, yes. Oh, that. Crumb, you probably know more than I do about wrestling. Of like, have you taken like the time to actually like look at the history of stuff like that? Are you that big of a wrestling person that you like doing the research?
I've like watched most of it, so like I haven't really needed to research a whole lot. I mean, there's
Okay.
a large portion I had missed, but for the most part, I'm pretty up to.
So, what is your favorite finisher?
My favorite finisher. Oh
Or I
boy.
guess I'll make it easy and say, what's your favorite finisher currently? Because I usually do that when someone's like, "What's your favorite video game?" I'm like, "Well, I really like this video game right now," sort of thing. I can't give you a definitive answer.
Oh man,
When it
there's
comes to anime, it's Neon Genesis Evangelion. By the way.
I think like for technical ability, I would have to say probably the One Winged Angel right now is probably the best finisher out there.
Okay, I'm really far behind. Can you describe what the One Winged Angel is?
So
Is
that's
it
Kenny
possible?
Omega's finishing move.
Okay.
It's when he gets them up into an electric chair, and then he kind of like contorts them down into a falcon arrow. But he like puts so he gets them up to the electric chair, and then he puts their one leg back over his shoulder, and then pulls them down into a falcon arrow pin.
Okay. Very cool.
Which is like ridiculously technical
Mhm.
and kind of nuts, but I really like the aesthetic of it. It looks really cool.
So, in your wrestling matches that you have, I've seen people do the Canadian pile driver, but I've seen different versions of it.
Yes,
I've
the
seen
Canadian
ones where
Destroyer.
yeah,
That's
the
nuts.
Canadian Destroyer. I've seen one where it's kind of like a tombstone and they land on their ass, sort of thing. But I've also seen one where it's almost like a tombstone, sort of thing.
I think there's like a couple versions. I think there's a couple versions of it.
It's because it looks like your opponent's about to do something to
Yeah,
them, but then
it
they do
looks
the
like, and then
like
they do
I
like
like
this
that one.
flipping jump over. That's pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
I remember a long time ago, a friend's like, "You got to look up the Canadian Destroyer," and I looked it up. I'm like, "My gosh, where was this? I haven't seen this. This is so corny. It's amazing, sort of thing."
Yeah, that one's pretty nuts. Like that's and that's just a move. Like that's not even a finisher most of the time. People
Yeah.
just use that just as a regular ass move.
I remember
crazy.
watching a video where like this person broke down like moves that became just like regular moves when back in the day they were like actual finisher moves.
Oh, like the camel clutch.
Camel clutch, like DDTs
DDTs
and stuff like
yep.
yeah. I was just like, man, I guess if you could probably like sell it, very strongly, then maybe you could get away with it. But most people will just be like, "Oh, that was just a regular." Like Raven did the even flow DDT, which
Yes.
in the end it was like, okay, it's a DDT.
Exactly.
The Ragnarok Knight says an underrated finisher, in my opinion, is the oh my gosh, Michinoku driver.
Yeah,
a man
Michinoku
that's
driver is insane. Yeah.
Michinoku. So I don't think I've drank enough yet. A man that's small performing. Wait, a man that's small performing. It is what makes it all the more impressive. Okay, I get you. Remember when McMahon called John Cena a gamer? Word. Wait, he did. Crumb, is that true?
I don't remember that. I didn't really
don't-
watch the John Cena era of when he was like.
We want the gold, sucker. Hulk Hogan, we're coming for you.
So
N-word. N-word.
N-word.
Dude, I loved it because he's like,
immediately just like, oh.
yeah. Then he like turns back and he's like,
He's like,
so-
I'm fired.
oh, dude, it was so funny. I love it. Oh my goodness gracious!
Oh my god, that was so funny.
So funny.
That was
So
so
funny.
good.
Let me look at my very cheap list of things to talk about. Oh, here's a good one. So when it comes to like the entertainment era and like stuff that you remember from your past that you just enjoyed, and just thinking about it, just like, oh, that was so good and stuff like that. Was there something specific that you remembered to where you're, for lack of better terms, where like wokeism or like a certain ideology like was just inserted or try to retcon something to where you're like, what the hell is this? Like, why are you? I'm here to be entertained and just enjoy the story. What it is. Why are you trying to insert this? Do Because I have one like that I can kind of remember where all of a sudden it was like, whoa, what's going on, sort of thing.
Well, you're talking about the entire PG era of WWE when they didn't
Yeah.
allow blood. They to like cut away anytime someone accidentally got cut. And it's just like, yeah, it was the worst era in professional wrestling, in my opinion.
Do you still think it's that way?
I think that there has to be a balance because like AEW, like someone's bleeding like every single match. Like it's outrageous. But like I think there's a happy medium, which I think they kind of move away from in the WWE in favor of currying to some of their bigger stars now. Like I just heard like Roman Reigns just signed a contract so he doesn't have to appear as much anymore, and because he's trying to go to Hollywood now after they've just pushed him to the stars for 3.5 years for literally no reason.
He's trying to be an actor?
He's trying to be an actor now.
I mean,
the dude literally can't even talk on a fucking microphone for more than 5 words.
I guess if you feel like your wrestling career isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And Japanese wrestling is still as extreme as ever.
I love Japanese wrestling.
I never got into Japanese wrestling, but I've seen like clips and stuff. And yeah, that's like insane. Like, again, just because I was preparing for this talk, Crumb, I remember I was like looking at wrestling stuff. And for example, like I was looking at like the weapons they use, because obviously there's some stuff to where you can't just use the real deal because.
Oh, did you hear about the thing that happened in ECW back in the day? Just before you get to your point.
No.
They used to have bring your own weapon night until a very specific thing happened. So the crowd would be encouraged to bring their own weapon, and they would bring their weapons, and people would grab them from the crowd and attack their opponents, whatever else, until somebody brought a cast iron frying pan. Completely knocked out their opponent with it. They put an end to that.
Well, there's that one guy from the show Superheroes where he could roll up a frying pan. All the wrestlers just need to do that and they'll be fine. Dude, that's insane. That's crazy. I can't believe that.
ECW.
They really brought a real life frying pan. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I was looking at how they can make the weapons safer. Because like with
they have to
minus the fight with Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon where they forgot to replace the glass, and but Shane was like, you got to throw me through this because it was actual plexiglass sort of thing. Like I've worked in theater where we had to use a bottle to break over the head of someone, and yeah, that stuff is like you got to be super careful because it'll break really easily, sort of thing. So that's what it's like, the sugar made sort of thing that looks like glass. And I was looking at how with the table, it's kind of like a very thin, almost plexi board sort of thing. So that's why it cracks, and you have to land them in the.
They pre-cut it too,
and they have to land in the middle in order for it to bend. But I saw a clip with like the Japanese wrestling, and it's an actual table, and they're just chugging people on there and just like just getting them good.
I think there was like a match between Mankind and somebody where they forgot to cut the table, and Mankind had a spot where he had to go through it, and they had to powerbomb him twice onto it.
Of course it's Mankind. If there's any person that needed to do it, it would be Mankind.
Yeah, and he had to go through it twice to get it to break because the first one he just hit and it didn't move. He's just like, ugh.
See, that's how I knew they were soft stuff. My mom would smack me with a frying pan all the time as a kid. Oh my goodness. Just beating you with that frying pan? Well, yikes. Sort of thing. But that's crazy. Yeah, because I remember, what was it? There was one with Jake the Snake where he was fighting against, I don't know if it was Jeff Jarrett. It might have been. But they needed a guitar, and so they actually went out and got an actual guitar, and they whapped him over the head with it. And
oh my god!
Crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Slap nuts.
So with the question I was asking before, were you, if you had something particular that you could remember to where it was like, what's going on? Why are you inserting this stuff? For me, it was definitely the Ghostbusters like 2016 movie
Oh,
that
yes.
came out, because all the controversy just came out because it was like, anyone who doesn't like this movie is sexist and this and that. And it was like, well, first off, you're cashing in on a franchise that people really love and stuff, and it's, you know, it's Hollywood. This will sell, so we'll just focus on this franchise. And but it was like they did this right when Harold Ramis died, and I was like, well, how can there be another? How can there be another Ghostbusters movie? Because you had the chance, and it's so unfortunate because there was like a third script floating around for like ever. It was just stuck in development hell. It was just
well, it was because Bill Murray just refused to do another movie.
Bill Murray, why? Love you, Bill Murray. Why'd you do this to me? To me specifically, not to anybody else. To me. But
like I said right from the start of that 2016 movie, if they had just made it so that the four women were like a franchise of Ghostbusters in the Ghostbusters universe, and they were just taking over, that would have been perfectly fine. But no, they had to make it a completely different remake thing, and it made no sense. It was bad.
Well, it was funny because I actually, on my YouTube, I did like a reaction to the trailer, or kind of like a review of like, based on the trailer, do I want to go see this movie? And I ultimately decided no, because I can point out to each character of who you replace. Like, this person's that person, this one's this is that sort of thing. And to me, like the true Ghostbusters 3 movie, I haven't seen have you seen Afterlife?
Oh, Afterlife was fantastic. I loved it. It was so good. It's what Ghostbusters 2016 should have been, honestly.
I thank you, Crumb, because I needed that recharge, that power up, if you know.
It was definitely an apology to Harold Ramis too. That's for
Oh, really? Wow. Yes. That's awesome. But yeah, like at the time, I guess I'll have to see Ghostbusters after I see. Man, I don't watch anything anymore because I'm just like so like.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
Is it worth it? Okay, I'll definitely go out of my way for you, Crumb. I'll do it for you because I trust you. I trust you for giving me the courage to.
Don't get discouraged by the first half of the movie, because the first half of the movie you might be like, oh my god, this is 2016 all over it. It's not though. It's necessary build up for what's gonna happen.
Gotcha. Because I was gonna say, like, have you played the Ghostbusters the video game for like?
Yes, I have. I love that video game.
That was to me movie number 3.
That was it. It literally was. That was the script for the third movie.
I know, and I was like, and you get to be as
a movie. They made it.
Did you play like the 360 or the PS3 version?
Yeah.
Okay, because there's the PS2 and like I think for the Wii.
It's like a cartoon.
It's like it's like the cartoony one sort of thing. Oh,
it's bad. But no, like the actual like video game one, that was what the third movie was supposed to be.
Yes, that's where I pointed to in my movie, or in my my movie. I'm making a movie, by the way. That's what I pointed to in that review of that trailer. Is just play the game, because that's your third movie until Ghostbusters Afterlife came out.
This is one thing that I kind of fangirled about. In the Ghostbusters Afterlife, they made references to the video game in the movie.
Are you? Oh, wow. That's amazing.
When you see it, you're going to be like, oh my God, that's from the video game. Like, you're going to be like, holy shit. Like, there's so many parts to it. There's so many Easter eggs from like the entire series, but they actually acknowledge the video game. It's wild. So good.
That's amazing. I'm so stoked. Let's see. Ragnarok Night. Mick Foley had a match where the ropes were made out of elevator cables and not only choked in between them because they were too tight, it ripped a part of his ear off when he was freed. I mean, it's Mick Foley. He's taken every beating known to man. I did watch that clip where, what is it? Vince McMahon is like part of the Royal Rumble, and then China comes out. And then Steve Austin comes out, and like Vince is focused on her, or on him, and then he like China shoves Vince McMahon out of the ring, and he like almost takes his head off. Oh my gosh, it's insane. It is insane. Well, let's see. We are coming up on the 2-hour mark here, and
Yes, sir.
I think we'll be winding down. But this is kind of what I like to do, aside from like the terrible like the half an hour before we actually started, because Melon is awful, and I tested everything and then it just didn't decide to work.
Just gotta get the boomerang out of the way. It's all.
The boomerang, yes. I told you there'd be some boomerang happening, and I am super happy that
Never
it
a
happened.
successful stream without one. So
I know, exactly.
have to have exactly one boomerang.
One boomerang that expanded to like half an hour. Oh, 2-hour mark, you have your own version of the unbreaded skit, LOL. Well, mostly because of Crumb. I don't know what her schedule is, and I don't want to hold her anymore. Then,
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Did you snort Smarties as a kid? No. Did you?
He didn't get smarter, so tis.
Yeah, so like I said, this is kind of like this was just like a free flowing sort of format
Yeah,
here, wherever
that's good.
it
That
took
is
us.
pretty
I
fun.
wanted to take us, and I really wanted to, like I said, for me, it was just wanting to break through this like being discouraged, and like rekindle like the spark of just the stuff that we enjoy, and just getting together with guests and talking about whatever made us happy, you know. Driving back
absolutely.
Vig, I did not snort lime salt. I did snort a bunch of alcohol. I'm good, but it's delicious, sort of thing. I think the craziest thing I ever did as a dumb teen was drinking inside an abandoned school. My God. How did you get into the school, and what did you drink is the real question.
My goodness.
You do anything crazy, Crumb, back in the day?
I did all sorts of crazy stuff back in the day. I don't know how much of it I can actually remember. I just remember getting in trouble a lot. So
like when it came to school, I couldn't do a thing because both my parents are teachers.
Oh, you're
so
lucky.
Like if I did anything where like the teacher of like the class, like they would tell my folks, like, so it was like I had to be good throughout the entire situation. And it was like, and I did some crazy stuff too. Although with me, I was, it was during that time where like ADHD was kind of still new. So they were trying to figure out what's up, sort of thing.
Oh, yes.
And I know for me, I had like my brain scanned and stuff like that. So that kind of helped figure out what was going on and stuff like that. But yeah, I was so super, hyperactive and couldn't focus and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. It's always a good time.
Always a good time. I mean, we grow and we learn, sort of thing. Let's see. The Ragnarok says, I now must oblige. Happy birthday, Crumb.
Thank you.
And Greg, good show, man. LOL.
I will.
It was a pretty good. Yeah, pretty good show. I'll chop it up, take it up to a pretty good show, just because. Oh, so much chaos. But good thing I had Stadler Springs on my side, because it was like, oh my goodness. And I apologize, Crumb, for all the the technical difficulty. I was really upset.
It's your first one. There's got to be a little bit of boomerang, right?
Yeah, exactly. I got into a street fight with a truck and I lost. My gosh. Remember the N64 kiosks at McDonald's?
Oh yeah. Those were.
Rod says, I was 16 and I drank alcohol. Just beer, you could easily jump the walls when you are young. You can be very agile.
So true.
Yeah. I mean, alcohol can make you confident in anything, even immune to death. Now, reality may say something different, but you could do something. A neighbor whistle blew on us. Oh, the cops came and we outran them.
Good stuff.
Very nice. I don't think I could. I was a fat fuck as a as a kid, but remember moon shoes?
Yep.
Oh, moon shoes.
Remember those.
Remember those.
Sock 'em boppers. Yep.
So, Crumb, do you want to like promote anything or share anything with the
Sure.
chat as we're about to head out?
Yeah. If you guys want to find me on Twitter, I announce all sorts of stuff, and you want to watch the fun antics that I get up to on there, because it's always a good time. It's at DarksideEvie on Twitter. Tomorrow I'll be on YouTube. You can find me on YouTube on just by searching Crumbreon. Find me tomorrow. I'll be doing a call-in show tomorrow for my birthday weekend. I'm going to be probably getting drunk and talking about a bunch of topics. So sure, it'll be a great time. Nothing can possibly go wrong.
I mean, I couldn't think of anything. You could use an alternative to what a program that you're used to and then have it not work. Fig says, remember Sock'em Boppers? Yep, they were Sock'em Boppers, Sock'em Boppers. Good show. Thanks for coming. The Ragnarok Knight says, you going to be there, Greg? Oh, well. Oh, I'll be there. Hell yeah, I'll be there. I'll support Crumb. She's awesome. And again, you're going to do this power up every day. I'll probably at least do like the game streaming and whatnot, but it just depends on the guests I can get, sort of thing, because this is definitely something that I'd like to get other people involved in, and just to build a community to get together and just to talk about stuff from the good old days, and a place where we can laugh at like all the stupid shit that's going on, but just think about the past, present, and future, and to come together and to just figure out what we can do, like to just enjoy stuff for the sake of enjoyment and the stuff that we remember from our past that made us passionate, and see if we can connect together through it. That's what this show is all about.
Absolutely.
Stacy says, can't wait for tomorrow, Crumb. Me too. It's going to be good. You said, are you stocked up, Crumb, for tomorrow?
I have tons of whiskey. I have to check in my fridge and see what I have for cold consumables, but if all else fails, I have like at least 3 bottles of whiskey to go through. So it's
me too. I have one bottle, and you've heard me talking tonight as the night went on. So very professional for the first show. Fig says, you gonna get Nick or Drexel? I'd love to get him again. I would love to get people like Nick, Drexel, Melanie Mack, tons of different people. I'd love to I like to just learn what people grew up with and stuff like that, because I know we can all connect together and I think we can really create a powerful force that can push back against all this bullshit that's happening, because people are tired of it. They are 100% tired of this garbage. And you would think that it would be easy to entertain people for the sake of entertainment. Now, obviously, with like the story that goes into whatever it is that you like a movie or an anime or something like that, if the author wanted to comment on something, they're going to comment on it. But like this fact of like Crumb, a spoiler to anyone, and I'm not watching it. Have you at all looked at the Halo series that's on Paramount?
I had no interest when I heard the people that were making it said, "Oh, we've never played the game or read anything about the series." I was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna have nothing to do with your TV show."
Do you guys want to and look into this? I don't want to say this as fact, but I'm not surprised if this is. Have you heard what happens at the end of season 1?
No.
Do you want a spoiler? Do you guys want a spoiler of what happens?
I mean, I'll take one. I'll probably never watch it.
So Master Chief takes his helmet off all the time, apparently. From what I've heard, he bangs someone. Cortana is somehow like a part of Chief. Like actually not just like a computer thing, but supposedly like integrated inside of him. He dies and Cortana takes over. if
Okay.
if that's going the complete opposite of what the video games are, where not only does he never die, like he is known for being extremely lucky and for being a Spartan that for all intents and purposes are like greater than the average human. So how he can bang someone and not destroy them is like beyond me, sort of thing. But that's what I heard, and I'm just like, like I wasn't planning on watching it, but like
Oh my god.
these people do not care. They're trying to retcon anything and everything. And the funny thing is they're going back to like the 90s and taking those franchises and like, we got to fix whatever wrong think is inside of this. Ghostbusters were all men. We got to make them all women.
Yeah, they're trying to woke wash everything.
And that's kind of like my theory too, to where they're hoping for the next generation, to where when they think about, like, if they see something, they're like, oh, I wonder what the history of this is. They're hoping that they'll see their version and not the original. It's
100%.
garbage.
And like the 90s fought so much with censorship, and this is just new wave censorship trying to eliminate them again.
Mm-hmm. If I was a person of interest, I would definitely join you on your podcast, Chris, maybe one day. Yeah. Well, I'll look into it for sure, man. Fig says, I know. We did get lucky somewhat. Eidos freed themselves from Square Enix grasp, meaning IPs like Tomb Raider and even Legacy of Kain are now no longer under the influence of Disney. Yes! Freedom. Dude, I fucking played the Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers edition, and it is hot garbage. Don't get it. Like, I knew I should have stuck to my gut feeling of just emulating the original, because I actually have the copy of the original Chrono Cross, and I should have just stuck with it. I do not understand how these people cannot make a good port. These people make all these different ports, and it sucks garbage, but yet people who can come together and make an open source emulator can make the original game 10 times better. It's just, I laugh at it so hard, because it's like, it's just, you're just like,
how it is, though.
And that's the thing, because I like trying to have the physical copy, because I don't, the whole digital aspect of stuff for me is like, what happens if one day they go, hey, all that digital stuff you downloaded, we can't find it. Looks like you're going to have to download it and buy it again.
You don't know what happened the other day with Xbox, do you?
Nope.
Where Xbox, they had experienced an issue with their online gaming, and they had to, I don't know what the hell happened, but basically, if you had like, you couldn't buy games, you couldn't download games, but if you had a game that had DRM, you couldn't play it. If you had purchased a game, you downloaded a game, it said that you didn't own it, and you could not play it because the system was down. It's already happening. It's already there.
And this is why I laugh at purists who are like, oh, you got to play it on the original hardware with all this stuff. First of all, emulation's gotten to the point where it's almost like a one-to-one exact. Yeah. 2, it's free. 3, I do not support this, but you can, if you want to, find a way to play the original games. I try to own everything. That's me. But like, it's like, you can't make this argument anymore that like almost like to consider playing the game is to use the original hardware and stuff, because there's already a digital format of it.
Exactly.
But the question is it good? Like, for example, like Shadow of the Colossus, they rebuilt it from the ground up. That's fine. That's okay. Now, granted, Sony likes to censor stuff, but that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. But it's like, I'm a hybrid type of guy when it comes to gaming. Like, I'll do whatever I can to get the best quality in the cheapest way possible.
Absolutely.
Digital has the potential of being superior to physical, but greed and incompetence forever ruined it. Physical all the way, man. Dude, if they went back and they had it to where like the manual actually had a bunch of cool stuff in it, like Nintendo's Legend of Zelda, where you got the map, you got all the like the color pages and stuff, and like the casing and everything, that'd be amazing. But they're not.
No, they're never going to go back.
That's money. They're not going to go back and do that. I 110 support the alternative ways. Wink, wink face. All right. Well, we are over the 2-hour mark. I don't want to keep you any longer, Crumb. But
well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No, thank you, Crumbreon. Again, I really appreciate what you did for Eric and for anybody who wants to speak out. Like, because we didn't get down into it, but you're a journalist as well, and
Absolutely.
just this. I get a kick out of reading like what happens on Twitter because it's so those bozos don't know anything
They have no
about it.
idea.
They don't know anything. And I'm super happy that you were able to give Eric a platform to share his side of the story, because it was infuriating to me from the sidelines. And even with whatever you want to think about, like which side of Vic you're on, for me, I don't believe Jamie and Monica's story at all. It keeps changing. It doesn't make sense to me. But I'm glad that there's people that are standing up to say, if you want to talk about your side of the story, come on, because that's what all this is. It's okay to hear the other side of the story, and you make the decision on whether you believe it or not, sort of thing. And thank you, Crumb. You're a good friend. I really appreciate
thank you. And I'm grateful to have a platform to give. It's for people out there that are listening right now and in the future. So they all make it possible. So hopefully together, and hopefully you'll get a head of steam too, and we can make a difference.
Exactly.
That's how this stuff starts, right? I mean, we might not see it for some number of years, but at least it'll have started somewhere, and we'll be where that started. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Crumb, and go ahead and plug in whatever you want to one last time.
Right on. Well, you guys, if you want to see me, I'm also on Twitch, twitch.tv/Crumbreon, on YouTube, youtube.com/Crumbreon. Find me everywhere. Twitter, I'm on DarksideEV, at DarksideEV. You can find me there. So yeah. Be sure to like and subscribe to this channel though, because Greg's awesome, and you can see Greg on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights on my Twitch channel on my wrestling shows.
Oh yeah.
In action.
Wanting to fight fighting strongly for my daughter.
Fight for your daughter.
I am like the bumpkin. You have all these people that have like flashy clothes and stuff, and here I am with just overalls and like look like I just got off the farm.
Taped hands.
Yeah, taped hands. Which is funny because I do hail from originally from Illinois, so nothing but beans and cornfields for miles. So quite appropriate. And Eric is just to do that chiseled jaw of Eric. Just gets me giggling every time. But yes, you guys can find me on here, PowerKeg Greg YouTube, Greg Merima, MEREMA on Twitter, or you can just type in PowerKeg Greg and I'll show up there. Both Crumb's and my social media should be listed in the description below.
Boom.
Thank you guys so much for joining. Like, subscribe. I'm multi-stream right now on YouTube and Twitch. I can never decide which platform I want to stick with. Wait a minute. Stacy, I want to fight Greg, although Casio Girl will win. Probably with my streak of 0 and like 7 or something like that. You have a good chance. Fig says good morning, Greg. That's his way of saying good night. But thanks again, you guys. Take care. God bless. Thanks again, Crumb, for hopping on.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna raise one last toast to you. Cheers. I hope you have a wonderful birthday tomorrow, and I'll definitely be on tomorrow. Maybe not as slurry as tonight. Well, I was good in the beginning, but of course we got a little happy at the end, but that's all right. Anyway, awesome. Peace, you guys. Take care. Check out Crumbreon. Thanks, guys, for your support. Catch you guys later. Adios.
Peace.